Coal mining has played a vital role in the economies of much of the southern Appalachian Mountains, especially Kentucky, West Virginia, and Virginia. After the Civil War, the United States entered a period of industrialization, and the need for coal increased tremendously. In the late 1970s, mountaintop removal began to be used in the southern Appalachian Mountains. The first step in mountaintop removal is to clear existing forests. Then the topsoil is removed. Explosives are used to remove the top layer of the mountain, and heavy machinery loosens the dirt and rock and deposits it into an adjacent valley. The consequences of mountaintop removal include buried headwater streams, a decrease in water quality downstream, including elevated sulfate, calcium, magnesium, and bicarbonate ion levels, collapsed drinking water wells, habitat loss, cracked walls and foundations in nearby houses, dust, noise, and vibration from the explosions, and an increased likelihood and severity of floods. Many of these consequences result from the effects that mountaintop removal has on the local streams. The decrease in vegetation causes mountaintop removal sites to respond to rainfall like an urban watershed, resulting in a large amount of runoff during storms. This has resulted in higher annual water yields and peak flows in mined areas compared to forests that have not been mined. As a result, one of the most devastating consequences of mountaintop removal is increased flooding. On July 8, 2001, disastrous floods across eastern Kentucky, southern West Virginia, and southwestern Virginia damaged over 3,000 homes, killing 4 people and causing over $20 million in damage. Helicopters were used to rescue people from their rooftops, and a state of emergency was declared in 8 West Virginia counties.
I was in the flood of July 2001, where I was 8.5 months pregnant with my baby boy. When I stepped off my parents' porch, I had my 3-year-old in my arms, and I stepped into flood water. I had to wade flood water up to about my waist until I finally got out of it to get me and my daughter out of there.
I survived the 2001 flood. It was a bad flood. Bottom part of our house, we had 14 inches in it. But I was lucky. I had some other parts of the houses it never got into.
I was also affected by that flood. My farm, it had washed away some bridges. We had been to church that day, and we could not get home. We couldn't cross any bridges. Luckily, we had a friend that let us stay with them that night, but the devastation was terrible.
Mining companies are required by the Clean Water Act and the Surface Mining Control and Reclamation Act to perform mediation actions to replace lost streams and ecological functions after they are finished mining. However, the man-made valleys and streams are usually flattened grasslands rather than forests, with differing hydrology and vegetation than the pre-mining condition. Despite the large amount of scientific evidence that the impacts of mountaintop removal are irreversible, mining permits are continued to be given for mountaintop removal. So what can you do? You can advocate for more strict regulation of mining permits, support research for developing better mitigation strategies, and spread awareness of the consequences of mountaintop removal.